Hello children, let's begin with part 3 of our chapter 5. In this part, we will talk about properties of substances. It is very important, boys, to know the properties of a substance so that we can make the best use of these substances. The first property is brittleness. Substances that break into small pieces or particles are said to be brittle. This property of substance is called brittleness. For example, chalk, brick, alum, glass are all brittle substances. That means they can break into small pieces or particles very easily. Our next property is hardness. Suppose I want to pierce a nail into a cardboard and a paper. It will be very easy for me to pierce an iron nail in a sheet of paper as compared to a cardboard. I will have to put a little more efforts to pierce an iron nail into a cardboard. That means out of all the three elements or all the three substances, iron is the hardest substance, then is the cardboard, and last is a sheet of paper. The hardness of a substance is determined by how much of resistance it offers to the substance being pushed through it. Diamond is the hardest known substance. Our next property is elasticity. When we stretch a rubber band and leave the rubber band comes back to its original shape. Some substances change their shape when a force is applied on them, but return to their original shape and size when the force is removed. This property is called elasticity. Fluidity. Take a flat metal sheet of a size of a notebook. Holding it at an angle, put a drop of water, honey and gum at different places on the board. You will observe that these liquids flow down the slope. This property is called fluidity. The fluidity of a liquid is determined by how easily it flows. Our next property is densities. Now observe these two boxes very carefully. Consider them to be two classes. Let one be 6th standard and second one will be 7th standard. In 6th standard, there are 20 boys of a class same size that of 7th standard. In 7th standard, there are only 5 boys. Now, the area of the classroom is the same for both the classes. But in 6th standard, there are 20 boys. That means there are more particles in 6th standard in the first box and there are less particles in the second box, that is 7th standard. Therefore, the density of 6th standard is more than the density of 7th standard. In other words, the density depends of number of matter present in that particular area. The density of a metal is more than that of a cotton. Because of the density, you can see cotton is light in weight and a metal will be heavier. Therefore, we can say the mass of different substances having the same volume can be different. This difference is because of the difference in their densities. Between substances of the same volume, the ones with greater density are heavier than the ones with the lesser densities. Our next property is solubility. Take a glass of water and add some salt, fine sand and sugar to it. You will see that the sugar and the salt have been dissolved in the water, but sand does not dissolve in the water. Mix this same mixture in kerosene. You will see that salt is insoluble in kerosene. If a solid does not dissolve in a liquid, it is said to be insoluble in that liquid. The property of a substance of getting dissolved is called its solubility. Our next property is transparency. We can look through the substance and see things on the other side. Then that substance is said to be transparent. This property of a substance is called transparency. Glass, some types of plastic, clean water and air are transparent substances.